Imagine a fire, a small flame flickering in the darkness. It struggles at first. Every gust of wind threatens to put it out. But give it time, feed it carefully, shield it from storms, and one day it roars so strong it can burn through the fiercest cold. Now, imagine that flame as your life, your ambitions, your character, your desire to grow. Here's the truth few people talk about. Before you can light the world, you must protect your fire long enough for it to grow. Too often, we try to change while surrounded by the same people, habits, and environments that created the old version of us. And then we wonder why we slip back, why our progress fades, why we keep restarting the same journey over and over. The ancient Stoics knew this well. They warned that until your inner fire is strong, the wrong influences will smother it. If you place a glowing coal next to a cold one of two things will happen. The cold coal catches fire, or the glowing coal goes out. In life, it's usually the second. This is why the first step to real transformation isn't doing more. It's stepping back, creating distance, becoming absent for a while, not to escape the world, but to rebuild yourself away from the noise that keeps pulling you back into the old you. Think about any major change you've wanted to make. Eating better, thinking clearer, living with more purpose. At first, it feels exciting. You buy the healthy food, wake up early, read the right books, maybe even meditate. But then, life starts calling you back. Friends tempt you with old habits. Social media drowns you in distraction. Family doubts your sudden, new phase. And slowly, almost without noticing, you find yourself right where you started. It's not because you're weak. It's because change is fragile at first. Like a young plant breaking through the soil, it needs protection before it can survive the winds. The problem is, most people try to grow in the same environment that broke them, and the environment always wins. That's why separation is so powerful. When you step back, even briefly, you break the cycle. You create a sacred space where the old patterns can't reach you. This is how you gather strength before re-entering the world on your own terms. But here's the challenge. Solitude feels uncomfortable at first. We're so used to noise, conversations, notifications, entertainment, that silence feels like loneliness. But there's a difference between being lonely and being alone. Loneliness is emptiness. Solitude is power. When you're alone, away from constant influence, something incredible happens. Your own voice gets louder. You start hearing thoughts you've been too distracted to notice, desires you've ignored, fears you've buried, but truth about who you are and who you want to become. And at first, yes, it can feel heavy. Facing yourself always does, but stay with it, because on the other side of that discomfort is clarity. And clarity is the beginning of strength. Think of it this way. If you feed your mind the same junk it's always consumed, mindless scrolling, empty gossip, negative people, you can't expect it to produce wisdom or courage or vision. Your mind becomes what it consumes. That's why stepping back isn't just about avoiding bad influences. It's about deliberately choosing good ones. Books that stretch your thinking. Conversations with people who lift you higher. Environments that make discipline easier instead of harder. In solitude, you become the architect of your mental diet. You decide what thoughts to plant, what habits to build, what future to imagine. And slowly, almost invisibly at first, the fire grows. Here's the turning point. One day, after weeks or months of this process, something shifts. The habits that once felt fragile start feeling natural. The discipline that used to exhaust you becomes part of who you are. The old temptations lose their grip. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Because now, when you step back into the world, you carry a fire that doesn't go out so easily. The same people, places, and distractions that once pulled you down no longer have the same power. Why? Because you've built strength in private before testing it in public. You've given your character roots before exposing it to storms. And here's the beautiful part. Eventually, your fire grows so strong that instead of being influenced by the world, you start influencing it. You walk into rooms that used to drain you, and now you light them up. You meet people stuck in old patterns, and instead of joining them, you lift them. But none of that can happen if you refuse to step back first. This is why the ancient wisdom still matters. Absence isn't weakness. It's preparation. The seed disappears into the soil before it becomes a tree. The athlete trains in silence before the victory. The thinker wrestles with ideas in solitude before the world calls them a genius. The period where nothing seems to be happening is where everything is actually happening. So, if you feel like you're slipping back into old habits, if you feel like your growth never lasts, maybe it's not because you lack willpower. Maybe it's because you've never given yourself the gift of absence. Leave for a while. From the noise, from the distractions, from the constant pull of people who don't understand the future you're trying to build. Protect your fire until it burns bright enough to withstand anything. And when you return so strong that nothing, no environment, no habit, no person can put it out again. That's how real change lasts. That's how you stop restarting the same chapter of your life and finally begin a new one. So today, ask yourself, what do I need to step back from? What environment keeps pulling me into the old me? And am I willing to be absent for a while so I can come back better? Because the world doesn't need a version of you that keeps flickering in and out. It needs the version that burns so bright, it lights the way for others. Be absent for a while, then come back and set the world on fire.